when he called that guy in Georgia and said, I need 11,000 votes. I want you to find them.
He said find. He didn't say create. He said find.
Well, that's the same thing.
No, it's not. You don't say on an Easter egg hunt, I want you to create some Easter eggs.
We have a show here.
There's something that's been lost in American politics lately, and in American entertainment for that matter, and social discourse. It's funny how social media and the advent of it has actually created a world where we are encouraged not to socialize with each other, not just in person, but online as well. If you remember when social media began, it was, oh, here's pictures of my family and my kids, and I'm excited about my child going to college or whatever. And then the 2008 presidential election happened. Barack Obama was running for president, and they harnessed social media as a political weapon. Do you remember, if you're old enough to remember, in 2008, people started replacing their own pictures on Facebook with pictures of Barack Obama, the hope and change imagery. And I was so weirded out by that. It's like people were taking on his identity for their own identity. And it was brilliant from the perspective of the Obama campaign to create this movement, not a political movement, but a social movement on his behalf. And he won the day, and he certainly won Facebook. But it was from that point on where if you expressed your political opinion on Facebook and it was to the right of center, I mean, people felt emboldened to call you a Nazi. And certainly a racist, because anybody who opposes Barack Obama on the issues has got to be a racist, because he's so right on all the issues. The only other thing that you must not like about him is that he has black skin. I say all of this as a setup to a remarkable thing that happened last night on Fox News Channel, of all places, where there was a free and lively, sometimes even spicy exchange of ideas in a very friendly way on the Gutfeld show. Because Greg Gutfeld invited onto his panel comedian Bill Maher, who, as we've chronicled here on Larry, he's been sort of tiny bit red-pilled. He's been expressing opinions that the mainstream left is not supposed to express openly. And Gutfeld likes having conversation. He likes engaging, and he likes people who are interesting, and Gutfeld also likes people who are funny. So let's take a look at what has become kind of a lost art in this country, a conversation about politics where not everybody agrees, and then everybody doesn't run away screaming and calling each other names. Watch.
So far, so fun?
I have a few quibs.
Okay, go for it. Quib away, Mr. Quib.
Well, I mean, I agree that it's great that we're talking. I agree that we agree on some things. We're not exactly aligned on the most important things, which is basically Trump is someone who does not concede elections. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
You don't seem to see it that way. That's the most important thing that's going on in this country. He didn't concede the last election. He's not going to concede this election.
You don't know that. You don't see into the future, Bill. I don't see your crystal ball.
Yeah, I did, because I was the only one who was talking about that way back when. And everybody said, oh, you smoke too much pot. Turned out I smoked just the right amount of pot.
There's no right amount.
But can you really picture this guy going, you know what? I lost. That's it.
He did. He left.
He left because he had to leave, because he couldn't.
Yes, but that's how it works.
Well,
what do you think he's going to like board up the White House? Pull a straw dogs with Dustin Hoffman?
Well, last time he thought the other Republicans would back him up when he called that guy in Georgia and said, I need 11,000 votes. I want you to find them.
He said find. He didn't say create. He said find.
Well, that's the same thing.
No, it's not. You don't say on an Easter egg hunt, I want you to create some Easter eggs.
We have a show here.
All right, Dr. Drew.
Okay.
Boys. I mean, my favorite show of television ever to do was Politically Incorrect.
Which you stole. This is exactly what it looked like, except the difference was Politically Incorrect was purposely mixing people with different viewpoints.
Which is what we're doing.
Tonight.
Yes. This is why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No.
So, Dr. Drew.
Yes, sir.
You're really good at diagnosing mental illness.
Okay.
What is Bill's problem?
All right, now I just want to say, so far, I found it a good conversation. I think Greg did a good job pushing back on the whole Trump thing. But I can't believe that Gutfeld let Maher get away with one line there that really stuck out to me. Maybe it stuck out to you. That the idea that Trump doesn't concede elections is the most important thing the country is facing. That is a Joe Biden Democrat talking point. That's what they want you to believe. Joe Biden's and the Democrats, their complete campaign strategy between now and November is democracy hangs in the balance. Democracy is in peril. Our nation is hanging by a thread, and if Trump wins, it's over. That's all they've got. Because they sure can't talk about 4 more years of gusto economy. They can't talk about how great national security is, or our border, or crime, or immigration, or the Middle East, or Europe, or China, or anything. Inflation, unemployment, can I go on? How about interest rates? How about, our stature in the world? How about the fact that we have an incompetent mashed potato for brains president? They can't talk about any of that stuff. The only thing they've got is Donald Trump will end our future because he'll become an authoritarian dictator. And Bill Maher got away with it. The most important thing our country faces. Seriously. No, nobody believes that except the people who watch Morning Joe. But this last thing was the most important thing. When Gutfeld turned to Dr. Drew and says, "You're a medical professional. You've diagnosed mental illness. What's wrong with Bill Maher?" And Bill laughed. Bill laughing is the most important part of that, because more important than anything else in this world, funny is the most important thing. Even if it's at your own expense. And we got to get back to this. We really do. And it has nothing to do with Bill as a person or Greg as a person or any of that stuff. It has to do with us as a nation being able to, yes, laugh at each other, have conversations like this, and then break the tension so that we all know that at the end of the day, we still love each other. I really was moved by what happened here. And it could only happen on Fox News. Do you think MSNBC or CNN could ever do this? Ever? All right, a little bit more.
Wow.
He said, let me. It does feel personal about Trump with Bill.
It's not.
It feels that way.
No,
It's
I don't
not
think so.
personal.
No. It's just a difference of
He did
opinion,
sue
different
me.
view.
Did he sue you?
Of course.
Well, I didn't know that.
Really?
No.
He
Here in
sued you?
news?
Yes. I don't follow everything in your life, Bill.
Right. Well, that was kind of. Yes, he sued me because I said he possibly was the son of an orangutan. Because we showed the picture, he looks exactly like the hair color. It looks exactly like an orangutan.
You know what's interesting as far as it pertains to Orange? He has always been the stand-up politician, right? But now he's sort of heading towards Carrot Top. Some of the stuff he's doing at the podium with the Tic Tacs and everything. He's really becoming a comedian at the podium.
Well, he's you know what? He realizes that he's winning. I think that's bothering you, Bill.
Well, it is bothering me because, again, he's an insurrectionist who doesn't believe in democracy. So, of course, it's bothering me. And, of course, he's also insane and a criminal and stupid.
Except for that,
but,
Bill.
But I got to say,
That I'll vote for him.
like, what works for him, like when that clip you just showed, I mean, look, he's almost the same age as Biden, but Biden presents as old, ancient.
Yeah.
That does not look old.
No, it doesn't.
He does not present as old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like Kiss. He puts on the wig and the face paint, and it's 1976 all over again.
Those were the days.
All right, now say it with me, everybody, because you know the difference here. And again, Bill Maher is sort of playing into the fake narrative that the media might concede to, but it actually ends up serving Joe Biden, that this entire thing is an age question. Oh, sure, Biden's old, but Trump's about the same age. And Maher is pretending as though he's offering some grace and consideration to Donald Trump by saying, yeah, but he doesn't seem as old, does he? But say it with me, guys, because you know you've watched this long enough. It's not about his age. What is it about? It's about the fact that Joe Biden, can we say it together, has mashed potatoes for brains. I don't care if he's 42 or 82 or 102. In fact, I've seen people in their 90s pushing 100 who actually seem to have their act together better than Joe Biden. Because it's not about age. Stop conceding that it's about age. Stop saying that Biden's too old. I'm prepared to say that Joe Biden is not too old to be president. Put it down, lock it down for me. You can quote me. Absolutely not. Joe Biden is not too old to run for president. He's too brain damaged to run for president. That's the problem, not his age. And if somebody were 42 years old and had the same brain damage that Joe Biden has, he would be ineligible to be president as well, not because of his age. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. Mashed potatoes for brains.
Let's bring you in here.
As the other orange one.
Yes. That really is bright. I'm just thinking about Tang.
I love Tang.
If we could sit here and have a conversation, why can't other Americans
I
do
think
the same?
most Americans are.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this
Right.
is actually online, and that
Mhm.
it is people thinking that America is so polarized, when in your daily life, if you get offline and you see people in the grocery, there's a smile, you share a smile. Like I know that there are people that would never, maybe at a school board meeting, right? Those get contentious, and you could feel like nobody agrees with me. And I hear that a lot, but I look around, I'm like, actually, I don't think people are that much at each other's throats. We in the media tend to exacerbate that. One of the things that Bill had over the weekend on his show was Nellie Bowles.
Yeah.
She is a co-founder of the Free Press, independent media. They're doing some great work over there.
Yeah.
And she was also selling a book. In her book, she writes about her politics, she believes, is a lot like other people's, which is not so much doctrine, but exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
And that people are just looking for some good common sense,
Let's
which is
plug
what
my
you're trying
book.
to talk about here. We are plugging
Can
your
you
book.
just calm down, Bill?
We will get
Well,
you back.
but
But I
now
don't think people are
now I
asking.
understand all the rumors about you are true.
I don't know what that means. Like, we are polarized. I don't think we can deny that. The point is that we can also be friends. That's
Yeah.
it, that we
Right.
can't. Let's not pretend that these disagreements are not profound.
Mhm.
Let's just say, okay, they are profound, but you know what? There's 90 other things we could talk about which we wouldn't disagree on. And I can't hate you. I've said it a million times. You can hate Trump. You can't hate all the people who like him.
Mhm.
It's half the country.
Yeah.
And I am certainly not blind to Donald Trump's faults. I get it, why people choose to vote for him.
Mhm.
You know, somebody who's conservative once said to me, what you don't get, you liberals don't get about Trump, is that we don't like him either.
Mhm.
We just see him as a bulwark against the nonsense on the left. And I understand that
Mhm.
because there is a lot of nonsense on the left, and that's in my book too.
All right. And I'll just add to that too, by the way. You don't have to like Trump, or we don't like Trump either. I mean, I do get a kick out of the things that Trump does. I don't know him well enough to like him. What's more important than saying we don't like Trump either? What's more important is this: you don't have to like your president. Your president doesn't have to be a charming, wonderful person. I'm sorry, gone are the days of voting for a wonderful, warm, fatherly figure. Ronald Reagan, I think, was the last one of those that we had. And by the way, gone are the days of voting for somebody of pure virtue and stellar character and values. Listen, would I like to vote for the hybrid of George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Ronald Reagan? Of course I would. But he doesn't exist. Neither does she, by the way. Oh, and this comes after decades of people like Bill Maher and people in the media on the left, Democrats, telling the entire country that character is not the most important thing, because they had to walk down that path to defend the morally corrupt liar, Bill Clinton. You see, when Bill Clinton was exposed for who he really is, and by all norms in our society leading up to that point, he should have been drummed out of office or resign in disgrace. He didn't. And the only rationale the left in popular culture, in the news media, and in the Democratic Party had, the only rationale to overlook everything that he did and everything that he lied about to protect his sorry ass, the only thing they could say was character doesn't matter. America, grow up. Come on, the president of France, Francois Mitterrand, he has a mistress and he takes her out to the theater and it's an open secret and nobody cares. They're more superior than we are over in France because they don't get caught up in these tawdry little character issues. Okay. Lesson learned. Thank you, Democrats. We kept nominating people of good character. Election after election after election. You called Bob Dole a psychopath with brain damage. You called Mitt Romney a racist, sexist person who killed his employees that had cancer because he didn't offer them good enough HMOs. Okay? We've learned our lesson. It doesn't matter. And now you can't pretend that it does matter. A little bit more from Bill Maher, if you don't mind, because he had plenty to push back on with Joe Biden. It's almost like he watched our show yesterday, commenting on Biden's speech at Morehouse College, calling this country hopelessly evil and racist.
Well, let me ask you this: Do you think there is a purpose to him being so stark and bleak?
I think it's not helpful.
Yeah.
First of all, it's anachronistic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that speech would have made sense some years ago. I think we should acknowledge that racism still persists, and we should always be making remedial remedies for it. But we're not in the past. I always keep saying, let's live in the year we're living in. We're not living in the year where you have to be 10 times better to succeed if you're a person of color. And in some instances, it's an advantage.
Yeah.
In some places, it's not an advantage. But we're not living in that world that he's talking about, and I don't think that helps anybody.
And the PACs is.
Yeah, it's a great point that he made. Yes, of course, we've had racism, and of course, there's still racism, but not in any way whatsoever to the level that the organized left and the media would like you to think. But see, here's the problem with all of that. If the left is forced to actually concede to that point, they lose power. And, that's what power is all about. All right, one last clip from Bill Maher, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Bill, we were told that if we didn't transition kids, we had blood on our hands. And now we're finding out that it's actually the reverse, that we should actually be not doing any of it. What do you think?
I like girls.
So, does that mean you want more boys to transition to girls?
No, you're confusing him with Jim.
No, I mean, I was talking about this on my show last week. I mean, we are the outlier now, the United States. It's so funny the way sometimes the woke stuff, and I always try to make this point that liberalism is not, the same thing as woke. Woke, they would like to think they're an extension of liberalism. I'm an old school liberal. They're not. It's very often the opposite. And they think they're going so far in the right direction, and it actually turns out that they're in the wrong direction, and they've actually reversed it, because most of the countries in Europe now, England, the Scandinavian countries, the ones we used to always be able to say, well, look what the liberal countries are doing. They're all reversed themselves on this. They don't do the puberty blockers anymore. They don't do this stuff because of studies like this. And America is just doubling down on this stuff. So we are the outlier country on this stuff. And look, there's always a sensible middle ground. That's what I'm always trying to find. Now, is there such a thing as trans? Of course, there are sometimes people who are, let's just say there's a mix-up at the factory. And you don't feel in your head the way you do in your body. But some of this is also just a TikTok challenge that got out of hand.
So the idea that liberalism is not the same as wokeism, and Bill Maher identifies himself as a traditional liberal, is kind of a fascinating thread to pull on and have a further conversation about. Because here's the thing. But for the last 2, 3, maybe 4 months, we've shown clips of Bill Maher on his show. And the talking point around it and what people have been saying on social media has always been, is Bill Maher now a conservative? Is Bill Maher a conservative? Is he turning conservative? Is he getting red-pilled? Is he? And by the way, much of that discussion is coming from the left, from the people who used to love his show, who used to go and sit in the audience and whoop it up with all of his nasty jokes that he would tell about conservatives and Republicans. And I think we're getting it all wrong. No, he's not conservative. He just doesn't think conservatives are demons and the enemy. And he's still kind of holding on to his same traditional liberal positions. It's that old sort of meme that you see where you're still standing where you are, and the middle used to be right here, but now the left has moved so far off to the left that the middle has shifted and it looks like you're to the right of center, but you're not. And he's not. He certainly isn't. No, he's not red-pilled. No, he's not conservative. No, he's not a Republican. He's just not insane. And these days, if you're not completely insane, well, it makes it look like you're a conservative Republican. Great job, Greg Gutfeld. Great job, Fox News, who should be commended. More of that, please. And one thing I will agree with Bill Maher on when he said that his old show, Politically Incorrect, before it became this thing on HBO, Real Time, that is exactly what that show used to look like. And it was almost divided right down the middle. There were conservatives on one side, there were liberals on the other, and he was able to conduct the conversation in a way that most of the time didn't get ugly and contentious, because they were always trying to make it light and funny too, while talking about serious things. And that's one thing Gutfeld could do if he wanted to. I think the Fox News audience is grown up enough to accept that. We like seeing conservatives engage in a friendly way with liberals without any names being called, frankly, because it helps us learn how to do it ourselves when we've got to have Thanksgiving dinner with our crazy liberal brother-in-law.